Hey, what's going on, everyone? Vega here for SerpentX Tech, and we are back with the S19k Pro once again, taking a look at it, getting everything good and working and testing, all while it's in the air setup before we dunk this bad boy. And I just wanted to take you along with me. So I'm going to bring up the dashboard right now. I am planning on updating the firmware here. Went to Bitmain's website. You just need to click the drop down, choose your coin. You see the S19k Pro right there, and it's only this release. There is no TF card because the control board, the AM Logic control board, only has a micro USB connection, not a micro SD connection. So you just need to download that. Then you can go over to the firmware itself, and we just need to tell it where it is. Let's go ahead and get out of my logos page, and here it is. We got two of them. I just wanted to show. Very quick download, doesn't really matter. And then there it is. Now, I do wish there was a way to extract what was there. I always like to keep the original BIOS, and this goes back to my GPU mining days. I always like to keep the original BIOS of the hardware I am working with. And I know the BIOS on Bitmain's website is the latest and greatest, or whatever the stock version or the correct version is for our miner. Now, the S19 series of miners, have different control boards. AM Logic, I believe Beagle, and another one that's eluding me right now. But I always like to keep the stock or the original shipped firmware of the device. Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case here. I wish Bitmain, WhatsMiner, all of them will allow us to extract the firmware from the device before updating it. But we're just going to go ahead and update this one before we do. There's the hash rate right now. We're pulling a little bit over 3,000 watts at this very moment. This is the firmware that it shipped with stock, but we are getting 2 extra terahash over what it should be doing of 120, around a little bit over 100, a little bit over 2,700 watts, 2,700 watts, almost 2,800 watts at 120 terahash is where we should be, but we're getting 122, as you can see here, 124, so it is spiking, but we're over that 3,000 watt mark. So I want to fine tune it just a little bit more, and so we go to the firmware upgrade. This firmware release was actually just the other day at time of recording, 11/9/2023, and so we're going to use that one, but I also want to test out some other firmware options out there. So let's go ahead and update these. We're going to say keep the same settings. The machine is right outside my room, so you might hear it through the door, but I also want to check out Lux OS Commander, or just Lux in general, right? I'm going to use this particular one. I see some benefits of using Lux, and some of my colleagues said to use Lux, so I'm probably going to go with it. Also, we got Brains OS that we can use, and many others that we can test and tune. But I'm going to be replacing the control board in the future. So this is just more of a just experimenting and learning and kind of identifying stuff for my own personal. And I hear the fans ramping up right now as the firmware upgrade is ongoing. So we're going to let that rock and roll and then bring you back to see what the difference is. Now, we were at 124 terahash at a little bit over 3,000 watts, almost 3,100 watts, to be honest. I'll go show you what that is right now on the cell phone camera, and then we'll come back and see what it stabilizes at with the latest revision from Bitmain, dated for November 9th, 2023. So the Jazz miner is sucking up some power. The S9 is off. We'll see what that stabilizes at. All right, so she is quieting down now as things start to stabilize. If we minus the number that we just saw with the fans running at full tilt, that would be our actual number or power draw minus the Jazz miner. So we're gonna minus that number from the overall, and that should get us what this machine itself is actually pulling, because those fans can pull some serious juice. And of course, I got all the hot air exiting the back there by the grill, trying to keep the house cool during this chilly, I guess it wouldn't be winter, but it is winter here in Florida. Chilly winter day, and it's not even that chilly. It's only like 70 degrees. But it's a cool day, trying to keep the house within reason. As you just saw, things settled down after the firmware was updated, of course, and right now we're sitting around 2900-ish watts, still sitting around that 122 terahash. So further tuning and optimization will allow us to make this thing a little bit more efficient, but it is efficient compared to some of its other brothers, J Pros, XPs. I guess it depends on what you're trying to do, but I like the S19k Pro, which is one of the reasons why I got it. Can't afford the S21 as much as I would like it. Unless somebody wants to sponsor it and send it to me, great. But I'm just trying to get this thing in a good spot for dunking, and then from there, with the increased cooling capacity, this machine should run a lot better as well. But sitting around 2950 watts, if we minus the 3662 that we see right now, minus the 712, so taking away the fans, jazz miner, everything, when they're running at full tilt, we're sitting around 2950. So close to what the marketing is, especially since we're getting the extra 2 terahash. You can see everything is looking pretty good. So frequency 590, 77 chips per board, and our inlet temperature is around 51, but our outlet temperature is around 66 to 70. Again, trying to keep the house nice and cool. The fans are not running at 100%. They're running within a caliber range, but for inside your house, maybe not so much. So it really just depends. I would always urge people to check out the logs. I like the fact that we can download the logs. I don't like the fact that this dashboard does not allow me to see the power draw. Like on the Wets miners, I can see the power draw and everything. I do like the data that I'm provided here, but I think the dashboard could be a little bit cleaned up. So now it's just a matter of, you know, the firmware compared to out of the box or shipped directly from the manufacturer to us is about the same as the firmware that you know, Bitmain released just recently on 11/9/2023. So you're not going to see a dramatic difference. However, they did add support for HEM, or high energy mode. But if you really want to get the absolute best out of this particular miner, you're probably going to want to look at either custom firmware, whether it's Lux, Brains, or BitBix also has one, or Bixbit. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Also has a good one. A couple other vendors out there as well that is eluding me right now. Hivon, of course, will get you a little bit extra and a little bit more tunability. And like Brains OS got a really nice dashboard as well. The dashboard doesn't give you too much control over this particular miner, but we should be able to change that with an upgrade to the control board, which will be coming in the future. So get subscribed and stay tuned. Space Warehouse does a really good job explaining, like they talked about, I think it's ASIC.to, which is Vinesh now, or Vinesh's ASIC.to. Does a really good job talking about auto-tuning firmware, which Lux OS, I believe, provides. Brains OS, Hivon, and a number of others as well will give you a little bit more tunability with this particular device. But as far as the stock out-of-the-box firmware that Bitmain provided with this particular device, the S19k Pro, versus the latest update, November 9th, 2023, that's what you get. Not a whole lot, but incremental improvements. You can do much more with customized firmware. So that's going to do it for today's video. Please do me a favor on the way out. Hit the like button. Make sure to get subscribed. Hit the notification bell to stay up to date, as well as check out additional links in the description to help support the channel and what we do here. And you just have yourself a wonderful day. Take care. I'll catch you in the next one.